Imagine this, a brand that started by selling cheap clothes online and within just a few years skyrocketed into a $66 billion giant. Yes, we're talking about Shein, the darling of fast fashion that's claimed a staggering 40% of the US market. 40%. And the most mind-blowing part? They pulled this off in a market notorious for chewing up newcomers. The secret? It wasn't luck, it was strategy. While other brands were taking weeks, sometimes months, to launch a new collection, Shein became a speed machine. They track what you, I, and everyone else are wearing, thinking about wearing, or even liking on Instagram. And in a matter of days, boom, the product is live, ready for you to buy. But there's more. They're not just selling clothes, they're selling their algorithm. It's almost like they know exactly what will make you stop scrolling and say, okay, I need this. And let's be honest, who hasn't been hypnotized by those ridiculously low prices? It feels like a trap, doesn't it? Now, here's the big question. How did a Chinese brand not only enter, but dominate one of the most cutthroat industries in the world? And what does this say about the future of fashion? This is where the story gets even more fascinating. Here comes the plot twist. Shein's magic isn't just in the clothes, it's in the data. They didn't just build an online store, they built a massive laboratory where every click, every search, and every scroll turns into information. And what do they do with it? They piece together an almost perfect puzzle of what you want to wear, often before you even know it yourself. Here's how it works. Instead of producing millions of items and hoping they'll sell, Shein operates with tiny, almost experimental batches. They drop these pieces on their site, and while you're deciding whether to buy or not, their system is quietly analyzing your every move. If it sells well, voila, it's back in full force. If not, it vanishes as if it never existed. This approach doesn't just cut down on waste, it gives Shein an unbeatable edge. They're not guessing what's going to be trendy. They're creating the trend, tailor-made for your tastes. It's like having a personal stylist who trades sketchbooks for spreadsheets and algorithms. But here's the question. Can this obsession with data sustain a $66 billion empire? Or are we witnessing the beginning of something even bigger? The answer might just lie in places most people wouldn't dare to look. But not everything in Shein's world glitters as brightly as that dress you saw in their latest sale. Behind the digital storefront and those irresistible prices, a darker story looms. The working conditions in the factories fueling this fast fashion behemoth. And this isn't new. Shein has faced a flood of criticism for its lack of transparency in its supply chain. Documentaries, investigations, and whistleblower reports paint a troubling picture. Grueling hours, rock-bottom wages, and conditions far from what anyone would call fair. It's almost as if the real cost of those low prices is paid by the workers on the other side of production. Of course, the company knows this is a reputation risk. That's why they've promised reforms, poured money into audits, and pledged to improve labor practices. But in reality, these promises still leave many questions unanswered. After all, in the world of fast fashion, the relentless pressure to produce more in less time is an engine that never slows down. So, here's the real question. Can a company grow this fast, profit this much, and still ensure fair working conditions? The answer might lie in something Shein hasn't fully revealed yet. And if labor issues raise eyebrows, Shein's environmental impact isn't far behind. Despite boasting about reducing waste with its data-driven production model, the truth is that their business has a side we can't ignore, fueling overconsumption. Think about it. Unbelievably cheap clothes released at breakneck speed. It's almost impossible to resist, right? You see it, you like it, you buy it, sometimes without a second thought. But this accessibility turns fashion into something disposable. That cute top you snagged for less than a latte? It might only last a season before becoming landfill fodder. And the problem isn't just the mountains of discarded clothing. The production process itself consumes natural resources, generates emissions, and pollutes rivers and oceans. Oh, and don't forget the packaging. The same ones that arrive at your doorstep lightning fast but take decades to decompose. Now here's the twist. While Shein tries to clean up its image with initiatives like collections made from recycled materials, the real question lingers. Are these efforts enough to tip the scales? Or are we just putting a band-aid on a much bigger issue? Perhaps the answer lies in the next move from the industry, one that could change the game entirely. Here's a clever move that often flies under the radar, but explains part of Shein's low-price magic: the tax loophole. It's almost like a masterstroke on the global trade chessboard. Shein takes full advantage of a United States law that exempts small packages from import duties. That's right, when that dress or shirt you ordered shows up at your doorstep, it often comes with a fiscal cost of zero. And you know what that means? Every penny saved becomes another reason to keep their prices ridiculously competitive. While local brands have to deal with taxes and regulations, Shein maneuvers through this loophole like it's an open highway to profit. With the sheer volume of daily sales, every untaxed package adds up to billions by year's end. But of course, this hasn't gone unnoticed. Major US retailers are far from thrilled about this unfair advantage. They argue that while they're struggling to play by all the rules, Shein seems to be playing with a stacked deck. The big question is, does this strategy have an expiration date? Or will the company keep leveraging this gap to grow even faster? Well, let's just say the market and regulators are starting to pay closer attention, and this could lead to a whole new chapter in Shein's billion-dollar story. Now, if you think Shein's journey in the fashion game is complex, wait until you hear what's happening with the giant Nike. Did you know the company is facing its worst performance in years? What strategic missteps and market shifts have brought this giant to its knees? If you want to uncover all the details and more, click on the video that's popping up on your screen. And of course, before you go, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any of the stories that drive the biggest names in the market.